We spend a lot of our lives at work. You ask somebody about themselves, it's like being at that cocktail party, and you talk to somebody and they talk the whole night and they had a great time. Go in that, probably when you're out there, that talk 30% of the time or less and let them talk is even more accentuated. Now, if you could help us prioritize, you've given us an introduction in a way that we've talked about transformational HR roles and CHRO responsibilities, that seat at the table, having a long-term vision, a point of view to set the company up for the next stage of success. How do you prioritize the HR initiatives in your own mind?
So when it comes down to it, especially if you're in a transformation environment, a growth environment, there's lots you could do. It's about what you should do, and it has to be tied to value creation. How do you create value for the business and for the customer? And so it really starts for us with two things. It's what are the needs of the enterprise? By the way, we're a company that doesn't use the word corporate and we don't use the word headquarters. We're a very non-political company. We use the word enterprise because it's not inclusive of everybody. But what is it that the enterprise needs to create value from its people strategy? And then what does the business need to create value from the people strategy? And then what in HR do we need to optimize to make sure we're effective, efficient, and providing the best employee and candidate experience? And then once you've got that list, it comes down to, okay, now you might have a list of 10, and then you have to get really disciplined and say, how many of these things can we actually do? And by the way, I would say I'm not always perfect at that. My team would say that my first year here was like, we bit off more than we into this year. We did better, and we've been highly successful. Next year, we're going to get really ruthless about what we work on. And that's the other thing is ruthless prioritization is in writing it down and saying, this is what we can do. This is what we heard from the business, the enterprise. This is what we need in HR. This with the budget and the time, this is what we can do. And this is what we're not going to do. And writing them down has been a big learning for me because I didn't used to write down the what we're not going to do. I've learned write down the what you're not going to do, align it with your business leaders. And then in the middle of the year, when someone goes, you didn't do this, it's like, well, hang on a second. That was on the not going to do list. With CEOs, sometimes forget that. And from having it written down or even to, okay, has this become more important for value creation than something that is on the what we call OKR list? If it is, let's have a conversation about stopping something and starting something. The biggest fear I see in all companies is it's not stopping things, not saying no. That is the hardest skill I think executives have to learn is you do have to say no. And I'm still learning that at times, so I'm not perfect.